being good enough to, whether it's to get a hit off a good pitcher or to strike out a good hitter or whatever. That's the kind of thing that sticks with you. My best friend played summer ball. He played Babe Ruth and senior Babe Ruth, and he batted against one of the best pitchers ever to come out of high school in Northern Virginia, Jay Franklin. I don't know if you remember the name. The kid could throw high 90s, drafted by San Diego. By his second year, he was in the pros. He was in the major leagues. Did not succeed in the majors for whatever reason. Later became schizophrenic, and now he's in his early 50s, and his mother's taking care of him, But I remember my friend says he batted once against the guy. He said the guy was faster than anything he'd ever seen. He said he went 0-2, and he was pleased that he had managed to foul one of them back. And then on the third pitch, Franklin hit him. He hit him right in the side, and he said he had a bruise for a month.
Oh, yeah.
But he remembered, but he remembered the fact that this was the best pitcher he'd ever faced, and he didn't strike out. Yeah. So you're right. It stays with you. I never played on any organized team. And part of that was because my dad traveled for his work, so he couldn't help out with the coaching. And then it was just my mom and 5 of us at home when he was away, so there really wasn't any time for her to drive me to practices or whatever. But I'll tell you what, in the summers, we played all day, every day. Yeah. It's other than people, I don't think there's ever been anything in my life that I've cared about as much as baseball. And it's funny because after 16 years as a sports writer, it pretty well wiped me out as a sports fan. You just can't do it. And so I don't watch any on television, but I listen. But I have the XM radio, which the satellite radio that has all the baseball on it. And every night driving home from work, I'm flipping around between baseball games all around the country. And it's there really is. I've read so many books about it, and I remember the thing at the end of Jim Bouton's Ball 4, where Jim O'Toole, who pitched for the Cincinnati Reds, and after he was out of the game, he was pitching in some beer league, in Cincinnati, and he said something to the effect of that you spend all those years thinking that you're gripping a baseball when it's actually the other way around. Yeah.
Very good, Ted.
Yeah.
The last time I saw Ted was about, I guess, 6 months before he died. Teddy and I went down. He had a little condo down there that he used as a guest house. And he had just built this beautiful home. And so we were there, I guess, 3 or 4 days. So he said, there's something. He was in a walker. And he came in and sat down, we were having breakfast. He said, I knew it. He said, there was something I should have told you. And I said, what is it? He said, you made a mistake. He said, and I never corrected him. I said, what was that? He said, you continue to throw that ball across the seams, and if you'd thrown it with the seams, he said, you would have been twice as effective.
Wow.
I said, well, that's a good time to tell me.
Yeah, I was just going to say, damn it, how come you didn't tell me before when it would have done some good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
even though obviously you two were players on different levels, he's been the greatest hitter ever.
right.
Yeah, and you were a guy who was good enough to pitch for a long time, but didn't make the Hall of Fame. There's still, I guess, that there was that camaraderie just between.
Well, it happened in 1939. when he came in to the league.
Oh, okay. And you came in the same.
Yeah, the clubhouse was across the hall from each other,
Yeah.
and the runway was in between. So I was out, they had a scale out there, and I get up on the scale, and I weighed like 154 or 55, and I was 6'2". And he came out, and he looked, he said, holy crap. He said, here's the guy who's skinnier than me. I said, well, if you're so smart, you get on the scale, let's see what you weigh. So he weighed 160 something. So
But he was
he was 6'5".
Yeah. So he was skinnier than you.
Yeah, so I said, all you are is arms and hands. I said, because there ain't nothing else that to you. So we started kidding. We said, all right, every time we'll come in, every day that we're playing against each other, he said, we'll jump on the scale, and the guy who gains the most weight, the other guy has to buy him a drink. So I said, okay. So that's what we were doing.
You weren't old enough to drink.
No, well, Coke is what we were talking about.
Okay.
And so anyhow, that went on for as long as we played. And when I got traded up there and happened to move across the street, I didn't know where he lived. This doctor had a place down at the Cape, and I rented his place while he went to the Cape. And so all of a sudden, he's around the corner. And I had no idea. So he said, you like to fish? And I said, yeah. He said, look, we'll go fishing. So after the game, we went fishing, and I enjoyed fishing, and I had fished quite a bit. So
And he was famous for it.
yeah, he was just learning.
But later he became famous as a fisherman.
He owned a company.
Yeah.
And anyhow, it went on from there. So we were friendly rivals at that particular time, and right up to the time when I got traded to Boston. But I had a lot of, he was a brilliant man, absolutely brilliant, and the kindest guy. With all of us, as I told his young son, I said, I've been around your dad a long time. I said, and I know he's done some real unusually bad things that I'd be considered almost immoral. I said, but the fact remains, I know the good things that he did. And I told him some of the things that he didn't know anything about it. And I said, and I also called you a professional student. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, how many years were you up at Maine playing the field and using your old man's name? And he laughed. He said, I'm not going to say anything about that to him, and not to you either. So,
yeah. Yeah, he was a real character.
of course, he died right much after his father died.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean the son was a real character.
Ted.
I meant Ted. Ted was a real character.
I only heard him. One man. He told me one time that he had a dislike for the man, and it's the only time he's ever expressed anything like that.
Who was that?
I won't tell you.
Oh, okay, that's fine. You know the thing about him, he was baseball's closest thing to John Wayne.
He wanted to be John Wayne.
I know he did.
I told him that when we were in spring training.
Yeah, I remember. I think he said something about that once.
Yeah, I asked him. I said, "Who the hell do you think you are, John Wayne?" We had the two kids that had a birthday party, and they had written some obscenities on the mirror.
Yeah.
And the housekeeper came in and got all out of shape and called the manager. The manager called him at 12 o'clock at night. And every morning, I would get up around 5:30, 6 o'clock, go down to the lobby and start reading the paper, and he would come by and pick me up, and we'd go have breakfast. So this morning, I didn't know anything about it. So I came down to the lobby, and the night guy said, Ted was in here at 1 o'clock this morning, 12:30 to 1. I said, where? He said, he was in here. He said, he fired two kids. He told them to go get bus tickets and go to Plant City. And I said, oh, gee, that's unusual. So I didn't know what was going on. So he comes by. I go to jump in the car. He said, well, am I right or am I wrong? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, it's all over the hotel. I said, no, it's not. Whatever it is, I didn't hear anything about it. And he said, I sent so-and-so and so-and-so to Plant City. I said, for what? He said, they made me do. I said, you're wrong. I said, they're kids. Oh, what? I said, you're wrong. He took off and left me. So anyhow, we go through the workout, and we had 2 workouts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So I never said anything to him. So as soon as the workout was over, and I got dressed and everything, and I started walking back to the hotel. And here he comes with the car. He said, "Get in the car." I said, "I have nothing to say to you, and I don't want you to have anything to say to me." I said, "Because I don't agree with what you did, and I will say that to you right now and forever." I said, "And I'm not going to get in your damn automobile." That's it. And I kept on walking. So he come right alongside me. Come on, come on. You know, he never apologized to anybody for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, "Maybe you have a point."
Ooh, pretty good.
I said, "Oh, you know, we're making some progress." So he said, "I need some information," he said, "and you can help me with it." He said, "I'm going down to Miami Beach to look at a boat." He said, "You were in the Navy and this, that, and the other thing." He said, "You know a little bit more than what I know about this part of what we're talking about." And we're talking about the type of motor he would put into actually it was a shrimp boat is what he was trying to work with. So I jump in the car. He's going 105 miles an hour down to Miami Beach. We pull into Joe's Crab House. We go in, there's a private room. There's crabs stacked up on the table. Crab legs. He says, "I heard that you like crab legs." This is his way of apologizing.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So,
That's good.
and so it was nice.
They don't make them like him anymore.
No, he did more. People didn't know that he would autograph a dozen baseballs every homestand, and then we would go to one of the children's ward at the local hospital. And he would tell the nurses when he's leaving, "You tell anybody I'm here," he said, "I'll never come back." And every week we deposited a dozen baseballs in one hospital or the other, or a boys' home, which he did more things for people that people didn't know anything about than anybody that I know in baseball.
And that's the best way.
Oh, sure.
That's the best way to be.
Yeah, he was a real good friend, and he asked me. He said, "You're going to retire?" And when he was at Washington, and I told him, "Yes." I said, "I've had enough of the shoe business, and I had a problem with the sales manager, and I am going to leave." I said, "Because there's things happening there that are illegal and immoral." And he said, "Well, you'll need a job." I said, "Yes, I will need a job." He said, "Where are you going to be tomorrow?" And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I'll call you tomorrow afternoon before the game." I said, "Okay." Well, I got a phone call from the general manager of the ball club at 10 o'clock in the morning. "Can I meet you somewhere?" And we were members of Congressional Country Club, so I said, "Well, I'll meet you." So he said, "I got a contract here." He said, "What we're going to do, we're going to make you minor league pitching coach, and then in June, the Sid's going to become mine. You're going back on the roster, so you get into the new pension plan."
Oh, that's great.
And he gave me a job.
That's terrific.
Never asked him,
Yeah.
but that's the way he did things.
Yeah. No, that's nice. Do you remember the first time you were ever on a big league mound in a game?
Yes.
What's
Cleveland.
in Cleveland?
Bob Feller.
1939?
Yeah,
Who you pitched against?
Bob Feller.
Okay.
He struck out 16.
He won, right?
Yeah, but I had a problem. Something happened there. We were playing in League Park, and they had a short. It was just like Fenway.
Yeah.
Short park.
I remember reading about the old ballpark.
It was in right field.
Yeah.
So all the right-hand hitters tried to hit the ball over there.
Yeah.
So they had a fellow by the name of Ben Chapman, a former football player, and he hit the ball down to Zeke Benor, who was a first baseman. I didn't know anything about covering first base, so I just went right at the bag. And he flipped me the ball, Chapman hit me in the back and cut my shoe off of me. And we flopped and went down. And so I got back up, and he said, "I hope you do good today, kid." And he said, because I'm going to rip you apart. I turned around and I said, look, as long as I got this ball in my hand, you're not going to do anything.
Good for you. You're just a kid.
He comes up the next time, I lowered the boom on him 4 times in a row. So he went down all 4 times.
Yeah.
The next time he comes up, I lowered the boom on him twice. The umpire called time. He came out and he said, kid,
What's going on here?
he said, you look like you're throwing at him. He said, and I don't like him. He said, but the rules say that if you hit him, I'm going to have to fine you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, fine me? I said, fine me, well, what? He said, well, you broke the rules of baseball. And he said, and the fine's going to be $2,500. And I started to laugh.
More money than you were making.
I said, I've already drawn more than that. He said, well, I don't think it's too damn funny. But anyhow, when I came back to the bench when the inning was over, Bucky Harris walked up to me and he said, kid, he said, that's one of the best things, he said, I've ever seen happen to that guy. He said, ever since I've been in the game. He said, keep on going. He said, and everything will be fine. And I remember Buddy Meyer saying, when he came back after he had hit, he struck out, and he was a good hitter. And he walked up and threw the bat down. They had a rack out in front of the dugout then. And he said, gentlemen, hit what you see. If you don't see it, come on back here.
The way they talked about Feller, yeah. Did you, I mean, it doesn't sound like you felt any great feeling of awe at being out there. I was like, my gosh,
I didn't know.
Here I am in the big leagues. What am I doing here?
Well, I didn't have any understanding of it.
You didn't. So you didn't realize how big a deal it was.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, it just, I would have been happy if I could have made any in the Class D league.
Did it ever sink in later that hey, you know, this was?
No.
Most people don't make it here.
What it did, it drove me. It drove me to continue to go. Don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. And it's just like Mickey said, I never saw you give in to a hitter.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I did. But I went too hard. This is where I didn't learn 84%. I went 100%, which is too much. And I'd throw 4 or 5 pitches halfway, the catcher could hardly catch it. So, but that was all I knew, and that's what I did. But it took, as I said, it took me 8 years to learn how to relax.
Was it frustrating that during your whole career you played for mostly bad teams?
I'd rather play with Washington, who was giving its best, than play with Boston, who was playing for themselves.
The 25 guys, 25 cabs.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I had more fun in Washington. I knew we weren't a good ball club, but every guy on that ball